In this world, there are two types of people. Those who are men and those who are not. And there are many key differences when it comes to behavior and the way that you think that will determine if you are a man or not. Now, first up is number one. And one of the key differences between men and boys is that boys wait for permission before they act, while men, on the other hand, do not. When men want to say something, they say it without hesitation. Back when we were just boys, we had to ask the teacher for permission before we could say something, or we had to ask our parents before we could go out with friends. And even as adults, many guys go as far as to ask permission to speak their mind when there is no need to do so. One of the biggest things that holds boys back and stops them from becoming men is asking permission from others before they do pretty much anything. Remember this, boys ask permission while men take what they want. Next up is number two, and this one is super important. Now, the second thing that turns boys into men is doing instead of talking. We've all had that one friend in school who was always bragging about how many girls he's been with, or how if it came down to it, he wouldn't hesitate to throw a punch. But at the end of the day, it was all talk. The boys are the guys who are always bragging about how much they get done at work, and then when it actually comes down to it, they end up getting nothing done. At the end of the day, boys talk while men do. Now, next up is the third thing that regularly transforms boys into men, and it's a simple shift in the way that we think. Something that boys do all the time is find reasons for why they can't do something, while men find reasons for why they can. Boys tend to focus on barriers, and men focus on finding ways around them. The types of dudes who haven't quite transitioned into men frequently say things like, "I'm not ready," or "there's no way that I could do that." And what they do is make excuses while men, despite the barriers, choose to carve their own path to victory. Your typical boy might say something like, "My parents were poor," or "I lived in a bad area," or "I couldn't get a job," while explaining to somebody else why they are still poor and trying to borrow money from you. Instead of making excuses, men make solutions. If a girl doesn't like me, then that's okay. I'll just find another one who does. If this job isn't paying me enough money to live the lifestyle that I know that I deserve, then I'll simply find or create one that does.
Hey, Shalom. Shalom, all praises to you. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles at Great Millstone. And peace to you sincere brothers out there, the house of David. The house of David. And, basically, I was using this clip here because I wanted to try to do something a little different, and basically just growing as a man in the spirit. And according to the scriptures of man, you turn a man when you're basically 12. And so, ways to aim at growing in the spirit, man. Certain things you have to do. You have to grow. The key to this thing is maintaining a mind where you have to constantly grow. And that means, taking those actions on that you first had when you first came in, and the things that work for you as you grew in the beginning, you have to use those and add more into them. Because this thing is about growing. It's not about staying stagnant, staying in the first gear where you first started at. It's always about growth. So you got to become a man in the spirit. And basically that's what I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna title this that, becoming a man in the spirit. So basically I got a few scriptures that I looked over real quick. And I just wanted to go over this real quick because, we had to keep a spiritual mind in this time. And in order to keep your head into these scriptures, you have to keep a mind frame of steadily growing, constantly growing, constantly beating the punching bag. So you have to stay in the scriptures. So that's why it's important to stay in the scriptures, because when you do that, you keep your mind focused on the Heavenly Father. Now, we all deal with certain things in our life, but we have to stay. We have to keep our minds focused, on the scriptures. So basically, what I want to do is. want to read this first scripture real quick. It's going to be First Peter chapter 1. First Peter chapter 2, verse 2. And it says, as newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby. So another thing is too, the basics of the scriptures is something that a lot of men don't stay into because they think they outgrow those things. No, you always focus on the basics of the scriptures, so you continue to grow. You continue to sharpen yourself up on the basics, and you keep your mind into the scriptures. It says, if so be ye have tasted that the Lord be gracious, in whom coming unto us a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of Yahweh Hashem Al-Shai and precious. So the ones that's chosen and precious of the Lord, they're going to keep their minds in the ways of the scriptures, keeping your mind sharpened. Kind of like when you was in school and you had a pencil sharpener, you wouldn't be able to write if you didn't sharpen that pencil. So you have to keep your mind sharpened. Remember the scriptures say iron sharpens iron. So if you're around men that's not keeping you growing in the spirit, then basically it's a problem, and it's an issue that you need to look at, because this thing is all about growth in the spirit. So if you're not always steadily growing, then it's an issue, because this thing is all about growth. Now, Matthew 5 and 6, it says, blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. So verse 6 here, it says, blessed are they who hunger. So you have to stay hungry for this truth. A lot of dudes, when they get to a certain level, or they feel like they've been in this a while, they're not hungry anymore. This thing becomes boring unto a lot of people. And for a lot of people, this truth is not for a lot of people. This is only for the elect. And a lot of men find out that they're not part of the elect, basically, because this makes them bored. The scriptures say, blessed are those that are hungry, that hunger, them the ones that's going to be filled. So you have to stay hungry for the truth. Now this is Philippians 1 and 6. It says, be confident of this very thing, that he which have begun a good work in you, will perform it unto the day of Yahushua. So look, we have to perform these good works into the day. So you have to keep that mind frame of performing these works until the day of the Lord comes. So you have to understand that. So keeping our minds and performing this work until the Lord comes. And a lot of things, staying balanced, staying on top of things. Always staying hungry, keeping a mind of growth. You must grow spiritually in this truth. You must have a mind frame of continuing to grow in this truth, keeping your mind to the scriptures. When all else fails, guess what? The Lord has our back. You have to remember that. And we have to keep our mind in the scriptures. Colossians 1 and 9, it says, for this cause we also, since the day we heard it, do not cease to pray for you, and to desire that you might be filled with the knowledge of his will in all wisdom and spiritual understanding, that ye may walk worthy of the Lord unto pleasing, being fruitful in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of the Most High. So the Lord wants you to increase and be filled with this knowledge. It's all about increasing. It's all about staying hungry and desiring the sincere milk. It says, strengthen with all might according to his glorious power, unto all patience, long suffering, and and with joyness. So you have to stay strengthened, stay increasing, stay growing. Verse 12, giving thanks unto the Father, which have made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light. Right. So, one of the ways that you stay growing in this, you calling out the Heavenly Father every day. And when you do that, the Lord hears you and He sups with you. Like I said, a lot of the times this truth ain't for a lot of guys. So they find themselves getting bored or this, that, and the third. But the elect are always going to keep their minds meditating on the scriptures. And that's what you have to understand. So what separates you from the rest is your hunger for this truth, your desire to stay in the sincere milk, and always wanted to be strengthened, always wanted to learn. And one thing I watched MJ the other night, he was talking about Kobe. Kobe would always call him and ask him questions about things, about playing basketball. And so that's how you have to be in the spirit. You have to always be in a mode where you always want to learn and you always want to ask questions. And that keeps you growing. You can never get in the mind frame where you be like, hey man, we know this already, or I know this. You get like that, then that's pride. Ephesians 4:12, it says, for perfecting of the saints, for the work of ministry, for edifying the body of Yahweh Shai Mashiach. So it's all about edifying the body. It says, till we all come to the unity and faith of the knowledge of the Son of the Most High, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Yahweh Shai Mashiach. That's right. So we have to keep in mind that we're perfecting each other and we're perfecting the saints through this word. So we have to keep a spiritual growth in the word. And I got a couple more scriptures because it's all about growth in this word. And if you're not growing, then you basically, you're gonna let Satan creep up in and basically take your mind over. So we're gonna go to 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and 11. 1 Corinthians 13 and 11, it says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. And when I became a man, I put away childish things. So you have to keep a mind frame where you want to continue to grow. And you want to become a man. You can't do the same things that you've done before now. That lazy attitude, acting like you don't have to do it. You got to get that spirit far from away from you. Always think of new challenges and new things that you can do that keep you growing. See, a lot of guys get satisfied with the place they're at, and then they be stuck in that same mode because they stop continuing to grow because that pride grows in them and they think they got it. But no, you have to continue to grow and ask the Lord for strength. And He will make a situation for you where He will test your strength and He will bring you on another level. And I think for me, my personal thing that happened with me, for me always asking the Lord to give me strength, He put me in a situation where actually I had to man up and get more strength. So you have to understand that. You have to understand that you have to keep a mind frame of steady growing in the spirit. Striving to become a man in the spirit. That's what you want to do. Now it says, 2 Corinthians 9 and 8, and the Most High is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye always, having sufficiency in all things, may abound in every good work. So you're supposed to abound in this work. You are supposed to grow in the word of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. If you're not growing, then you're degressing. Instead of progress, you're degressing. So you have to continue to grow, continue to hit the punching bag, continue to perfect your skill and your craft as much as possible. James 1:2, my brethren, count it all joy when ye fall in diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. So that's what the Lord's going to do. He's going to try your faith. He's going to put diverse temptations on you. To what? To build you up. It says, but let patience have a perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire and wanting nothing. That's right. And if any man lack wisdom, let him ask of the Most High. And a lot of dudes, they stop praying to the Lord and they stop asking the Lord to bless them with wisdom. And I think this will be the last scripture I get. Yeah, but pretty much, man, keep your mind frame where you want to continue growing, even if we at the end of America. And us being at the end of America, they don't give you the leeway just to slack up and just say fuck it. But that's how a lot of guys is. They say fuck it because they know we at the end of America, so they say fuck it, and then they become carnal, and then they lose their faith because they're not hungry anymore. You have to stay hungry. That's how you stay in the spirit. Stay hungry, man. 2 Peter 3:18, but grow in grace and the knowledge of our power and Savior Yahushua Mashiach. To him be glory both now and forever. Amen. But grow in the grace. So you continue to grow. This thing is about growth. But basically, I just wanted to go over that, man. Stay hungry, man. Remember how Kobe was when he was young in the when he was coming up. He used to always call Michael Jordan, and he used to always ask Mike questions, and that made him be better, man. That made him grow. And so, like in the spirit, you have to always stay hungry. Always wanted to know more and desire more to keep your mind and your spirit active. So grow in the spirit, man. Grow in the spirit. And with that, man, Lord willing, it was edifying. Let's get on to the next one. Inshallah.